Hi everyone, I am Malay Krishna, Director of Product Management at Vyapar. I joined Vyapar 6 years ago as the very first product manager, and over the years I have grown to lead the entire product management team. Today, I also oversee all our AI initiatives, and it's been an exciting journey building products that serve more than 2 million people. Outside of work, I've also been teaching aspiring PMs over the weekends. Over the past year, I've helped hundreds of professionals successfully transition into product management roles, and I do that by sharing real-world insights right from the trenches and not just theory. Now, if you've been following the industry, you will see something interesting. The role of a product manager is evolving. More and more companies are hiring AI product managers. Almost every week, a big tech company or a startup announces a new AI-first product role, often with great eye-catching compensation packages too. That's exactly why we are here today, to talk to you about how you can land an AI product management job. The agenda for this video is very simple. We'll first start with understanding what exactly an AI PM does. Then we will look at the skills the companies are looking for. We'll cover how you can position yourself even if you don't have any prior AI experience. And finally, I will also share practical strategies to crack AI PM interviews. Before we dive in, let's also set one thing straight. A lot of people are worried that AI will take away their job. But in product management, that's not the whole story. Many core PM skills like customer empathy, problem solving, prioritization, storytelling, strategic decision making are all deeply relevant and important. These are not going to go away. Instead, if you combine these core skills with an understanding of AI and how to build AI-powered products, you will be in one of the most in-demand roles in the future. And why am I suited to take this conversation with you? Well, beyond my experience at Vyapar, I have directly worked with over 1,000 learners in the past year, helping them break into AI PM roles. Many of them are now working in leading companies, and I'll be bringing those learnings and insights to this session. So let's start with a big one. What exactly is an AI product manager? Now, when most people hear AI PM, they assume it's just a regular product manager who happens to work in an AI field. But it's actually a little deeper than that. An AI product manager sits right at the intersection of product, technology, and data science, translating what's technically possible with AI into something that's actually useful and delightful for the users. Think of it this way. Your job is not to build AI for the sake of AI. Your job is to make AI invisible, to use it in ways that makes the user's life easier, faster, and smarter without them even realizing what's happening behind the scenes. Here's how I like to define an AI product manager. An AI PM is someone who understands enough about AI to guide engineers, enough about design to guide user experience, and enough about business to make sure the product delivers real outcomes. You are not expected to build the model yourself, but you do need to understand how models work, what data they need, and how to measure where they're performing at their optimum or not. Now, there are actually 3 broad flavors of AI product managers today, and understanding which one you want to be helps a lot when you're breaking into this space for the first time. First, there is the AI platform PM. These are the people building tools and infrastructure that other teams can use to deploy AI models. Imagine at a company like Arise or Hugging Face, they're focused on helping engineers understand, evaluate, and monitor how models behave. Their customers are often internal, data scientists, machine learning engineers, and AI researchers. Second, you've got the AI product PM. This is what most people picture. You're building an AI-powered product where the model is the experience. Think of products like ChatGPT, Notion AI, or GitHub Copilot. Here, the focus is on how the user interacts with AI, how your design, feedback loops, and how to make the experience feel natural and not robotic. And finally, there is the AI-powered PM. This is the one that is becoming more and more common. These PMs work on any kind of product, fintech, healthcare, education, SaaS, but they're using AI as a lever to make existing experiences smarter. Maybe you're adding personalization, automating workflows, or predicting user behavior. AI becomes a part of your toolkit, not your entire job. So if you think about it, AI PMs come in three shapes. You're either building the tools, building the AI itself, or building with AI. But in all three cases, you're translating intelligence into impact. You are the person asking, how can this model actually help someone? What happens if it goes wrong? How do we make the model and its performance transparent, ethical, and scalable? That is what separates a great AI PM from your typical buzzword chain. And the most exciting part, this role didn't really exist 5 years ago, which is why you can have a head start. And the role is now evolving every single month. You don't need a PhD to get started. You just need curiosity, a bit of technical literacy, and the willingness to learn by building in AI. If you can understand how data, design, and decision making fit together, you already are an AI product manager. Now that we know what an AI product manager is, let's talk about how it's different from a traditional PM role. A traditional product manager is focused on understanding users, defining problems, and guiding teams to build solutions that create business impact. An AI product manager is supposed to do all of this too, but with one extra layer of complexity: uncertainty. In a normal product, outcomes are predictable. If you design a feature and code it correctly, it will behave the same every time. But in AI products, that's not true, because AI systems learn from data. They can behave differently for different inputs or even drift over time. That means as an AI PM, you're not just managing features, you're also managing probabilities. You need to think about data quality, model accuracy, and ability. You need to know how to evaluate performance, not just through metrics like engagement or revenue or activation, but through model metrics like precision, recall, and false positives. And you need to be able to explain those trade-offs to businesses and design partners who may not speak that language. Another key difference is collaboration. Traditional PMs usually work with design, engineering, and business teams. AI PMs add an entirely new set of stakeholders: data scientists, ML engineers, and researchers. You are often going to be in rooms where people speak deeply technical languages, and your job is to bridge that gap, to make sure everyone is aligned on the why, not just the how. Then there is the product development process itself. In traditional products, you write a PRD, you build features, test them, and launch them. However, in AI products, the process is more experimental. You might start by training a model, evaluating data, testing prompts, and iterating dozens and dozens of times before you even touch the front end. You're dealing with models that behave like black boxes, so the work feels less deterministic and more exploratory. Another big difference is measurement. Traditional PMs track business outcomes like retention, conversion, and engagement, and sometimes revenue too. AI PMs track those too, but they also track model-specific metrics like accuracy, latency, bias, and fairness. You're constantly balancing what's good for the business with what's responsible for the user. And finally, the biggest difference is the mindset. Traditional PMs optimize for clarity. They want predictable systems. AI PMs must thrive in ambiguity. They're comfortable with imperfect answers and continuous iterations, because models evolve, data shifts, and user behavior keeps on changing. So if I had to summarize it in one line, a traditional PM manages certainty and an AI PM manages possibility. That's what makes the role so exciting. You're not just shipping features, you're actually shaping the future of how intelligence itself shows up inside your features and your products. And that's a responsibility worth learning to do well. Now, what does an AI product manager do on a day-to-day basis? Let's get practical. What does an AI product manager actually do every day? What does their calendar look like? How is it different from that of a regular PM? At a high level, an AI PM job still revolves around the same pillars: understanding users, defining problems, aligning teams, and shipping value. But the how changes completely. every part of your day is touched by data, experimentation, and model behavior. A typical morning might start with reviewing model performance dashboards instead of just user analytics. You're checking if the model is performing as expected, looking at metrics like precision, recall, accuracy, latency, or even hallucination rate. You're spotting patterns. Is the model drifting? Are the results getting biased? Is new data affecting quality of output? You're constantly asking, does this output still make sense for my users? Next, you'll join your daily stand-up with engineers, data scientists, and designers. This is where AI PMs need to spend a lot of their time because they have to translate between business goals and technical reality. You might discuss new experiments, model evaluations, prompt tweaks, or even failure use cases. Your job as an AI product manager is to keep everyone aligned on why the model exists and what outcome it is supposed to achieve. After that, you will probably move into design discussion. This is where you make sure AI feels intuitive and human, not robotic and confusing as it can often be. You'll review how the model interacts with users, how the interface explains its decisions, and how you build trust. You might say things like, the suggestion feature is powerful, but will users really understand why they have it? That's the art of balancing transparency and simplicity. You'll spend time talking to users, just like every other PM, a lot of it. But because of AI, perception matters as much as performance. Even if the system is technically correct, if users don't trust it or don't understand it, it is bound to fail. So you gather feedback, study where people feel friction and their pain points, and use that to improve both the product and the model. Sometime during the week, you will also dive into the typical road mapping and prioritization. This also means you will be required to balance traditional product bets with AI-specific ones, like deciding whether to invest in a new model or a better data set or faster inference speeds. You might partner with data teams to source new training data or with infra teams to evaluate hosting costs and scaling decisions. It's half strategy, half experimentation. And then there is storytelling, one of the most underrated but essential parts of an AI PM job. You will be writing documents, presenting to stakeholders, and helping leaders understand what the model is doing and why using it matters. You'll translate highly technical progress into simple user-centric language, turning numbers into narratives. So if you zoom out, a day in the life of an AI PM revolves around 4 things: data, design, decisions, and direction. You analyze data to understand what's working. You refine design to ensure AI feels seamless. You make decisions grounded in experimentation and not your gut feeling. And finally, you set direction so your cross-functional teams can all come together and always create impact. Being an AI product manager is definitely not about building cool models. It's about building products that think responsibly, usefully, and transparently. And when you do it right, your work doesn't just change how people use technology, as it is the case for traditional PMs. It actually changes how technology understands people and adds value to their life. Demand for AI PMs in 2025. So let's talk about the market. Before you invest in becoming an AI product manager, you absolutely need to know one thing. Is this actually a growing career path or just another short-term trend like crypto? Spoiler alert, the demand for AI PMs is exploding. Let's talk about demand because this is where things start getting really interesting. If 2023 was the year AI broke into the mainstream, then 2025 is the year AI has become table stakes for product management. The reality is, companies aren't just experimenting with AI anymore. They are heavily operationalizing it. Every industry from healthcare and finance and SaaS and retail to consumer apps are building AI-powered features. Recommendation systems, co-pilots, smart assistants, predictive analytics, these are no longer nice to have features. They are actually becoming the core of how products in our daily life are delivering value. And that shift has created a massive wave of a demand for AI product managers. Here is actually what is happening. Globally, job postings that mention AI or machine learning have grown more than 60% year over year, while traditional PM roles have stayed flat or even declined slightly. But what's even more fascinating is that most companies aren't calling them AI PM roles outright. Instead, they're writing traditional job descriptions and then quietly layering in AI expectations like model evaluations, prompt engineering, understanding data pipelines, experience or familiarity with LLMs. In other words, the label hasn't caught up with the reality yet, but the work absolutely has. Now, in the US, AI product managers have become one of the highest paying roles in tech almost overnight. While a traditional PM in a mid-sized company might make around $180,000 to $200,000 a year, AI PMs at companies like OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, Meta are earning anywhere between $250,000 to $400,000 every year. And some senior roles are going well beyond that into the millions when you include equity. Here, back home in India, the pattern is similar. It has just scaled locally. A mid-level product manager in a tech company might make between 25 to 30 lakhs. The AI PM equivalent of this manager is making anywhere between 45 and 90 lakhs depending on how close you are to the model strategy, the infrastructure, or to the applied AI systems. That's nearly a 50 to 70% compensation premium simply for having the capability to lead AI-driven work. And let's face it, it's not just about the pay. It's about job security as well, actually. As automation increases, AI PMs are actually amongst the safest roles in PM because while AI might automate repetitive tasks, it still cannot replace human judgment required to translate algorithms into real business impact. So these roles are future-proof by design. There is another trend that's worth noticing. The number of companies hiring for AI-adjacent product roles has absolutely exploded. Startups in edtech, fintech, logistics, and even in traditional industries like manufacturing are actually embedding AI into their existing systems. Every time a founder or a managing director gets that thought, they need a product manager who can bridge technical and business teams, someone who understands AI enough to ask, what data do we really need? How do we measure the accuracy of this AI system? How will this change the customer's experience? And that is why AI PMs have become the connective tissue in modern product and tech teams. They are not just product leaders anymore, they're actually at the epicenter between technology, design, and user value. And that is why if you're still wondering if AI PMs are just a niche trend or they're actually a long-term career track, the data is clear. This isn't a niche anymore. This isn't a fad anymore. This is the next evolution of product management. In fact, by the end of 2025, most experts have predicted that AI literacy will become a baseline expectation for all PMs. This is almost like knowing product sense, just like data literacy was a few years ago. That means being able to work with AI won't make you special anymore. It will actually make you employable. So if you are even slightly curious, now is the time to build those skills, because by the time AI PM becomes a standard job title, the best roles will already be filled by someone who started today. How these roles will be safe in the AI world. Now let's address the elephant in the room. If AI is automating everything from writing code to designing interfaces, will product managers themselves not get replaced? The short answer is no. In fact, the AI product manager might be one of the safest roles in the future of work. Here's why. AI can analyze, generate, and optimize. You all know that by now. But it still cannot decide what matters. It can tell you what's possible, but not what's meaningful. And that ability to define purpose, context, and value sits at the heart of product management. AI PMs act as the bridge between machine intelligence and human intuition. They are the ones who decide which problems are worth solving, which data is ethical to use, and what trade-offs the product should make between accuracy, cost, and user trust. That judgment, that blend of empathy and, frankly speaking, logical reasoning cannot be automated. The second reason AI PMs will stay safe is strategic storytelling. Think about it. AI can again generate insights, but it cannot convince your manager to invest in the right ideas. It cannot run stakeholder meetings. It cannot align engineering and design teams, or cannot manage complex human dependencies across business functions. Every organization still needs someone to translate what the model did somewhere inside the black box into what it actually means for the company. And that is the superpower of a great AI product manager. Third, AI PMs bring in something that algorithms frankly cannot: accountability. When a model hallucinates, which is basically not give the right output, when an AI assistant gives a wrong medical advice, or when bias creeps into a data set, someone has to take the ownership of fixing it. That responsibility cannot sit with the model or the engineers who coded that. because it actually sits with a human who defines its purpose, the AI product manager. AI PMs are ethical anchors of the AI ecosystem. Finally, AI PMs future-proof themselves by continuously learning. They're not static managers, they're adaptive orchestrators. Every new model release, every new API, every new technique becomes a new opportunity to redesign workflows, improve outcomes, and expand impact. The PMs who stay curious and hands-on with AI tools will only get more and more and more valuable over time. So if you're worried about AI taking over your PM role, here is the mindset. Learn to use AI to do the repetitive work faster so you can spend more time in doing the human work, the thinking part of it, the decisions part of it, the leading part of it. The future does not belong to people who resist AI. That is clear. It belongs to people like you and me who know how to make AI work for them. Exactly what an AI product manager is supposed to do. They are essentially not being replaced by AI. They are actually the ones who are designing how AI is going to replace everyone else. Core skills needed to land an AI PM job. So now that you know what AI product managers do and why they are in demand, let's talk about what skills you actually need to become an AI PM. This is where most people overcomplicate things. You don't need to become an engineer or a data scientist to become an AI PM. What you need is enough technical depth to make informed decisions and enough product judgment to translate intelligence into impact. Broadly, you can think of the AI PM skill set into two parts: hard skills and soft skills. Both matter equally, but first, let's get started with the hard skills. The first hard skill is understanding how an AI product gets built end to end. As a PM, you should know what happens between identifying a problem and deploying a model in production. This includes defining the business need, collecting data, training and fine-tuning models, testing them, evaluating them, and continuously improving them as they go live. You don't have the code of the model to yourself, but you do need to understand the stages well enough to ask the right questions. For example, where is the data coming from? How is it being cleaned and validated? What are we doing to optimize for accuracy, speed, and user experience? If you want to build this understanding, you can start with absolutely free resources. Google's AI for Managers course or Deep Learning's AI product management specialization are both designed for non-engineers. They'll teach you how to speak the same language as data scientists and how to think in terms of systems rather than features. The second important hard skill is prompting and evaluation. These are the two new technical abilities that have been defined by prompting is how you communicate with models. Evaluation is how you measure whether the output is actually useful. As an AI PM, you will often be finding accuracy, relevance of the response, or user satisfaction. You will work with teams to test the model gut feel. If you want to get your hands dirty, use tools like Lovable, Prompt Layer, or weights and biases to the experiment. Try a simple exercise. Write a prompt that summarizes 10 user reviews of your product on Play Store. Then evaluate the results for tone, accuracy, and usefulness. That one activity gives you a real sense of what evaluation is like in practice. The third hard skill is the ability to prototype using AI. The best ways to learn AI product thinking is to actually build something. You can use no-code tools like Lovable, Replit, V0, Bolt, etc. to create small prototypes of your ideas. This helps you interact with APIs and understand them. This helps you understand how prompts translate into user experiences and where users might struggle while using your product. You don't need to build a complex app. Even a small AI chatbot that solves a personal pain point like, knowing what the traffic situation is or something like that teaches you a lot about usability, flow, and feedback loops in AI products. The fourth hard skill is data, or data intuition rather. AI products live and die by the quality of data supplied to them. Garbage in, garbage out. You need to know how to read metrics like precision, recall, and latency, and what they imply for the user and for your product. You don't have to run the analysis yourself, but you should be able to look at a dashboard and say, this model is accurate but slow. You can practice this by exploring open data sets on platforms like Kaggle or Hugging Face and asking what insights they reveal. Now let's talk about some soft skills, the ones that separate from a good AI PM to a great one, just like how it would do for traditional PMs as well. The first soft skill is, of course, user empathy. It's very tempting and easy to get lost in the technical side of AI. But remember that users don't care about your model's architecture. They care about what problems it solves for them. The best AI PMs spend time talking to users, observing friction points, and understanding how to make AI experience feel human, trustworthy, and helpful. The second soft skill is storytelling. Once again, very similar to a traditional PM. You will be the bridge between engineering, data, and business teams. Your job is to make complex things simple, to translate model metrics into business outcomes that leadership can act on. That simply means learning to tell stories around AI with clarity and confidence. The model's recall improved by 10% means absolutely nothing to the CEO of your company unless you've explained how it has helped users find answers faster and helped improve their retention by 5 percentage points. Another soft skill that matters deeply for AI PMs is ethical judgment. As an AI PM, you're often responsible for ensuring that your product uses data responsibly and doesn't harm users. You will have the power to make decisions about what data to collect, explain how models' limitations are, and when to automate something. This sense of accountability will define your credibility in the long term. Finally, the last soft skill is curiosity and collaboration. AI evolves every single week. They join communities, read newsletters, experiment with tools, take courses, and make learning part of their routine. To sum it all up, hard skills make soft skills make you valuable, and both are equally important. You can start right where you are right now. Take an AI course, play with a prototype, what you learn. Explain your ideas simply. If you can't teach it, you've not understood. The fastest way to become an AI by memorizing concepts around LLMs and so on. It's actually by building, reflecting, iterating, and also explaining. Because in the end, what makes a great AI PM isn't about how much they know about the tech stuff, about the algorithms and so on. It's actually how well they make intelligence usable, meaningful, and value-driven while remaining ethical for their users. Over the last 18 months, I have personally helped 1,000 professionals transition into product management roles. I don't just teach theory, I stay in touch with my students. I do mock interviews with them. I review what real interviewers have asked, and I analyze how companies are evaluating candidates today. I have taken all of that knowledge, every single pattern, every single insight, and built it into a 90-day AI product management program. In this program, I help professionals transition into AI first or AI native product roles, build a portfolio of real-world projects, practice through unlimited mock interviews and one-on-one mentoring with me. And the results have been amazing. Many of my students have gone on to land roles at leading tier 1 startups and tech companies with excellent compensation packages. If this sounds like something you want to explore, I'll be dropping a link to the program website in the comments. I'll also share my WhatsApp number so you can directly message me if you'd like to have a quick chat about the program and understand whether this is the right fit for you. Now that you know what skills matter for AI product management, let's talk about how to actually prove that you have them. This is where most aspiring AI PMs get stuck. They learn the theory but essentially struggle to translate into visible proof of capability. So let's break down how you can showcase your AI readiness through your resume, your side projects, and your portfolio. Let's start with your resume. A traditional PM resume would highlight impact, metrics, launches, and outcomes. That still holds true for AI PMs, but the difference lies in how you frame your work. You need to explicitly highlight the AI layer of your impact. For example, instead of saying improved feature adoption by 20%, you have to say used user segmentation and predictive modeling to improve feature adoption by 20%. You're signaling that you understand data-driven decision making. If you've worked on AI adjacent projects, maybe you've used GPT tools internally, automated workflows, or built AI copilots, or even collaborated with data science teams, mention that. Even small exposure counts because right now there isn't a lot of exposure in the market. Frame your achievements around how you leveraged AI to make better business or product decisions, not just around outputs. The point is to show that you are not intimidated by AI. You're already using it and very comfortable with it. If you haven't had formal AI experience, don't worry. There are clear ways to bridge that gap. The easiest and the most effective way is to work on side projects. In fact, you could pick some side projects at your current company itself as experience. These don't have to be complex. You can start by solving real problems in your own work, in your own company using AI tools. For instance, if you are into marketing, build a content ideation tool that summarizes customer feedback using ChatGPT. If you're already into product, build a quick prototype on Lovable that uses an AI API to personalize an onboarding experience. What matters is not the size of your project, but your ability to explain why you built it and what problem did it solve. Side projects also give you a natural way to learn the AI PM lifecycle. From identifying a user pain point, to using an LLM, to testing and iterating on the model. And finally, if you want structured practice, join open source AI hackathons or product sprints. Platforms like Hugging Face, Product Hunt, AI Crowd regularly host challenges where you can collaborate with engineers, experiment with data sets available with them, and get visibility for your work. Once you've built a few small projects, the next step is to package them into a portfolio. Think of your portfolio as your storytelling tool. It's not a gallery of your work, it's your professional narrative. It should answer 3 key questions about you. What problems have you chosen to solve in your career? How have you used AI to solve them? And what was the result or the learning that you had? You can build it like a personal website using Lovable. You can host this on Notion, or just as simple a public LinkedIn post. Include screenshots, your process flow, short write-ups to showcase your thinking in the AI domain. For example, if you build an AI agent to automate resume screening, include the user flow, the dataset you used, the metrics you tracked, and the insights you gained. And finally, your portfolio does not need to look perfect. It needs to look real. There are so many fake portfolios that recruiters and hiring managers are not even looking for polished design. They're actually looking for signs of curiosity, of initiative, and of learning. Even a single well-documented project can demonstrate more potential than a generic course certificate. Finally, make sure your online presence supports your story. If you just post once in a while, that's not going to cut it. Write about your learnings on LinkedIn or even on a Substack. Share what you discovered while testing a new tool that you were trying or something that you were building. When you publish your ideas, you just don't signal expertise, you also signal that you are an active learner. And in AI, at this point, that is gold. Finally, to sum it all up, demonstrating AI PMs is all about the proof of work. Don't just say that you understand AI and its theory. Show them how you have used it to make something better or to build something. Even if it is small, even if it is imperfect, build it, write about it, reflect on it. Because in this new era of product management, your projects are your portfolio and your curiosity is your credential. So, now you've learned the skills, built your portfolio, and even landed an interview for an AI PM role. What happens next? What kind of rounds should you expect? And how can you prepare confidently, especially if you're not a technical expert? Let's break it down step by step. Most AI PM interviews follow a similar structure to traditional product management interviews, but with an added layer of depth around data, AI systems, and ethical reasoning. Typically, there are 4 key rounds you will need to go through: the product sense round, the technical understanding round, execution round, and the prioritization, and of course, the leadership and cultural fit round. Let's first start with the product sense round. This is a very common interview method. This is where interviews assess how you think about building products that users love. The format is usually open-ended, where they might ask you questions like, how would you design an AI feature for Duolingo? Or how would you use AI to improve LinkedIn job search? Hence, they're not looking for fancy technical terms. They're looking for clarity of thought, just like they would in a typical product sense interview question. You need to show them that you understand the user problem first, define the goal, and then explain how AI could enhance or automate that experience. For instance, talk about using AI for personalization, summarization, or generating predictive insights, and not just for adding AI for the sake of it. The second round is usually about technical understanding. Now, this doesn't mean you will be asked to code or explain neural networks. Not at all. It's more about demonstrating that you can speak intelligently and genuinely about AI systems and how they fit into products. You can expect questions like, what's the difference between predictive and generative AI? Or how would you evaluate whether an AI model is performing well? The key here is to show structured understanding. Explain that predictive AI makes forecasts based on past data, like Netflix recommendations, for example, while generative AI creates new outputs, like ChatGPT writing an essay for you. When asked about evaluation, talk about metrics like accuracy, latency, fairness, user satisfaction, etc. You don't have to go deep into the math. Your goal is to show that you can collaborate meaningfully with the data scientists and engineers. The third round often focuses on execution and prioritization. You might get a case like your AI model has suddenly started giving inaccurate outputs. What are you going to do? This is where you show your problem-solving mindset. Walk the interviewer through how you would investigate the issue. How will you check the data pipeline? How will you review the evaluation metrics we just talked about? And how will you then communicate transparently with stakeholders? Then explain how you would prioritize the fixes, how you will focus first on your users and reduce the impact, how you will then focus on the business and try and bring it back to business as usual. AI PMs are judged not just on creativity, but also on their judgment, their ability to balance ambition, which AI provides a lot of, with pragmatism and user value. Finally, like all PM rounds, there is also a leadership and culture fit round where interviewers want to see how you collaborate, how you influence without authority, and how you think ethically about AI. Questions here might sound like, how do you handle disagreement with engineers? What would you do if you discovered a bias in your AI product? How are you going to use these moments to demonstrate maturity is the key here. You can talk about aligning users around outcomes, encouraging more transparency in your models, and owning the responsibility that comes with building AI systems that affect real people. Now, how do you prepare for all of this? This is quite a lot. Now, the truth is that you don't really need to become an AI researcher to ace these interviews. You just need to prepare like a structured thinker who understands business value. The best way is to start with mock interviews. Practice thinking out loud. Record yourself while you answer the product sense questions and time yourself in terms of your responses and stay crisp. When it comes to the technical topics, focus on the concepts, not the equations, but focus on the inner logical reasoning behind it. Learn what models do and of course not about how they are coded. Read summaries of key concepts like vector embeddings, large language models, retrieval augmented generation, fine tuning, etc. just to have intelligent conversations with the interviewers. And most importantly, ground your answers into real world examples. Mention how you have used products like Notion AI, Perplexity AI, ChatGPT, Lovable, etc. to build things that have enhanced user experiences. That instantly shows that you have the theory and you can connect it to your practice. Finally, keep this in mind. AI PM interviews test one thing above all: your ability to reason under ambiguity. AI products change fast. Data changes, models change, and the best models fail unpredictably. They hallucinate without reason. If you can show them that you stay calm, think clearly, and can lead cross-functional teams through this uncertainty, you will stand out every single time you give an AI PM interview. Because at the end of the day, they're not just hiring someone who understands AI. They could hire an engineer for that. They're hiring you, who is someone who can turn AI into actual business value as an AI PM. Now, before we wrap up, I want to share some general and powerful advice with you. Things that can really make your journey into AI product management really easy. I'm not just going to give you standard tips. These are lessons that are actually going to separate people who just keep talking about getting into AI PM from those who actually do it. Let's start with the first one, mock interviews. If there is one thing that consistently accelerates your progress, it's mock interviews. These are the single most effective way to prepare for PM interviews, AI or otherwise. Reading frameworks and watching YouTube videos like this one can help you understand structure, but practice is what wires your brain to apply that structure under pressure. When you simulate real interviews, you start catching the small things that matter. How you open, how you transition between points, how you summarize at the end, all of it. You start to build a calm rhythm. Over a period of time, you realize that you've developed an internal framework for every kind of question that gets thrown at you, be it product sense, execution, technical reasoning, or leadership and behavioral routes. For example, when someone asks you, how would you use AI to improve customer onboarding? You'll automatically start with the problem statement, define the success metric, explore all possible approaches, and then narrow it down using trade-offs. That flow will start to come naturally because you've practiced it repeatedly in your mock interviews. If you can, record yourself on camera during these mock sessions. It's uncomfortable at first, it's uncomfortable for all of us, but it's incredibly revealing. You will see whether your tone sounds confident, whether your answers are meandering, or whether you're actually landing them in the interview. You can also use AI mock interview tools like Pramp and Warmup, and there are so many tools that are there. But ideally, pair up with the peers or mentors who are human and who can challenge you with realistic follow-up questions. You will not only build fluency, but also learn to defend your reasoning, because when they ask questions, this will be the real test of your AI PM credentials. Now, first is of course mock interviews. The second piece of advice is be prepared for a long hiring cycle. AI PM is still a relatively new role in many companies, which is why companies themselves don't know what they're looking for. Job descriptions are evolving, expectations are not standardized, and even hiring managers define AI PM slightly differently. This is not the case for traditional PM. Some companies treat it like a hybrid of product and data science. Others expect deep technical understanding, and some just want a great generalist who can bridge strategy with AI-driven execution. That means the hiring process can take time. Sometimes it can take a few months as well. You might have to go through multiple rounds of interviews or even loops where the same rounds are being done by multiple people before the interviewing team is coming to a decision. But don't take it personally. This delay is not a reflection of your ability. It's often just because the company is still figuring out what they actually need, because the field is so new. During the period, the worst thing you can do is to wait passively. Don't do that. Use the time while you're waiting for someone to get back to strengthen your proof of work. Keep updating your portfolio. Build that next idea. Build another project. Write another case study. Redesign an AI workflow for your product or any other app that you have. And keep sharing your reflections on LinkedIn or Substack or wherever. Each project, each post, each iteration compounds your credibility in front of the team that is going to hire you. And if a recruiter or a hiring manager happens to see that you've been active even between interviews, it sends a very powerful message that you're serious, consistent, and self-driven. The third big piece of advice is always and always ask for feedback even if you're rejected. I know rejection is very hard and they sting. I know. But if you can build the habit of treating them as data points, you will grow 10 times faster. Most people try to move away from rejections as soon as possible. And this means that they don't reflect. But 1 or 2 lines of feedback can completely change your trajectory. Maybe your answers were too surface level. Maybe you sound too rehearsed. Maybe you didn't demonstrate enough judgment in the important gray areas. Whatever it is, feedback is gold dust, and you have to optimize for getting as much feedback as possible when you give an interview. When you reach out for feedback, Do it graciously and professionally. Sometimes simply saying, "Thank you so much for the opportunity to interview. I'd love to improve. If you have a moment to share any feedback, I'd be really grateful." That message shows maturity and humility. And more often than not, you'll get a response that helps you course correct for the next interview. Over a period of time, you will start noticing patterns in this feedback. Maybe you are consistently strong on strategy, but need to go deeper on AI terms. Or maybe your answers sound a bit too structured, but not natural enough. Use these insights to practice smarter, not harder. Here is another mindset shift that also helps. Treat your job search like a product experiment. Each application is a test. It's an A/B test. Each interview is user feedback. Each rejection is a data point. You iterate, refine, and test again and again. And just like you do in product management, you only need one yes for all the work to be worth it. Finally, the last bit of tip is, and probably this is the most important one, is to be patient but persistent. The number one reason why people don't make it in these kind of roles is because they lose their consistency. The truth is that this is not going to be an overnight story. It is an iterative process. The people you see landing great AI PM jobs on LinkedIn didn't get there overnight. They got there because they kept showing up. They kept learning one new concept every week, one new project every month, and improving aspects of their profile with every rejection that they faced. The LinkedIn market, the job market, like every other market, rewards momentum. If you stay active, if you continuously apply, if you continuously get feedback, show people what you have built, what you have written, what you've learned and experimented, you eventually will become the obvious choice. So don't let a few rejections slow down your progress or demotivate you, because your game is to keep building skill and resilience at the same time. Keep practicing, keep building, and keep putting your work out there. Because once you get that first AIPM break, everything compounds. Your credibility, your confidence, and the number of opportunities that are going to be in front of you. Your field is so young that the people who start learning today are the ones who would be leading multi-million-dollar teams tomorrow. So don't aim to be perfect, aim to be consistent. Consistency beats intensity every single time. And that is true here as well. If you keep learning, if you keep creating, and if you keep reflecting, you won't just land an AIPM job, you will end up building a stellar career that actually evolves with the future of AI itself. So now let's bring this all together. We've spent this video unpacking the world of AI product management, what it means, what skills you need, how to build proof of work, how to navigate and rejections and so on and so forth. If you have made it this far, you already stand out from most people who just talk about wanting to get into AI, because now you don't just have information, you actually have a roadmap. The big picture is that the AI PM isn't some futuristic title. It's simply the natural evolution of product management in a world where intelligence is baked into every tool, every workflow, and every user experience. I cannot stress that enough. AI is not going to replace PMs, it is going to amplify them. The PMs who learn to use AI to make better decisions, build faster, and think more deeply about user value are the ones who are going to lead the next decade of product innovation, and you must be there. The demand is already visible across industries like SaaS, fintech, healthcare, education, consumer apps. Companies are building AI features into their products every single day, but they need people who can bridge the gap between what the models can do and what users actually need. And that is where you, the future AI PM, is going to come in. To get there, remember three things. Start from where you are. You don't need to quit your job or go to a college or something like that. You can start by applying AI to the problems you're already working on in your role. Tools like ChatGPT, Notion AI, Lovable, Langflow, etc. Automate workflows, generate insights, and build small prototypes. Every little experiment compounds your confidence and credibility. Second, show your work. One thing is about building these side projects, but actually talk about it on LinkedIn, participate in hackathons, write down short breakdowns of AI-driven products that you admire. Don't wait for someone to give you the permission, because you're your own boss here. The best AI PMs are the ones who are already in public. They're learning and teaching in public already. Remember, your projects are your portfolio now, which is why the third thing is to stay consistent. The most common mistake I see is people sprinting for 2 weeks, getting burnt out, getting discouraged when their first few applications don't click and drop off. The truth is, this journey rewards momentum. If you just keep learning one new thing every week consistently, one new concept, one new tool, one new prototype, you will be surprised by how far you are in the next 3 months. And when you finally get that chance to sit in that interview room, you will realize something massively powerful. You're not an outsider anymore. You are someone who's already been thinking, building, and solving like an AI PM. So as you log off this video, here is your next step. Pick one small thing to act on today. Maybe it's rewriting your resume to highlight AI projects. Maybe it's building your first prototype that will help your mom do something that she's doing repeatedly every day. Or maybe it's just joining a community of AI learners or a course. Whatever it is, start now. Because momentum is everything. This isn't an opportunity that you want to miss. AI is reshaping the world faster than any of us expected. I mean, even people like Sam Altman did not really know this is where AI is going to be so soon. And that is why the people who will win in this wave will be the ones who learn to shape AI thoughtfully, ethically, and creatively. And that is why you don't have to wait for the future to happen to you. Build it now. Build that one project. Generate that insight, understand that prompt, because this is the decade of the AI product manager. And the sooner you start, the further ahead you will be. Thank you so much for taking the time to join today's session. I hope this gave you the clarity, confidence, and practical steps for breaking into AI product management. If you have any specific questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. I'll personally come back and answer them. You can also reach out to me directly on WhatsApp. I'll share the number below. And one last thing, everything that we discussed today can absolutely help you land your dream job. But doing it alone will take longer. And without a mentor, it can definitely feel overwhelming. That is exactly why I've created my AIPM course. Inside the course, you will get structured guidance, unlimited mock interviews, and personal one-on-one support from me. Whether you're confident asking questions in a group or prefer to do it privately, I will make sure you are fully prepared. And I will love to work with you on this journey. Looking forward to seeing some of you inside the program. Thanks again, and all the very best in landing your dream AIPM role.